we're joined now on the eve of college football's opening Saturday by Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. I know that you are a big LSU fan. Are you ready for college football season before we dive into the absolute monster issues of the day? Because I can't wait.
I can't wait, my brother. I need the therapy. And LSU's preseason ranking is 13, but we are underrated. You should expect great things for the team this year.
Southern Cal, LSU, Sunday, I believe, if I remember correctly, going on. All right. Tons going on in the American political universe. Let's start with this. You are the Speaker of the House. The battle for control of the House is going to be tight. Going to be decided in many different races all over the country. Last time, 2022, New York and California in particular, maybe surprising some people, actually was the difference maker in Republicans taking control of the House. How does the map look right now? Where are you seeing as the particularly important battlegrounds, knowing obviously that the answer is the entire country, but where does the House get decided in your mind as you look at the full field?
The map looks really strong for us, and the full field is we're going to have a good run. I'm very bullish about November, and the reason is I've seen all this with my own two eyes, Clay. I've been traveling the country nonstop. We've done campaign events in 198 cities across 39 states in the last 8 months. There's a demographic shift going on in the electorate. We have a record number of new communities of people coming into the Republican Party that haven't been before, Hispanic and Latino voters, Black and African-American voters. The Jewish community is very energized for our side right now. You put all that together, you have great political tailwinds. And on top of that, we recruited an extraordinary stable of candidates. I mean, workhorses, not show ponies, and these are the candidates that are running in places like California and New York and the swing districts around the country. It makes a big difference because they don't just have the right answer to all the great challenges facing the country. They're delivering it very credibly, with the right tone, and that is really resonating with the people. I think we're headed for a growth of the majority pretty substantially, and we're excited about it.
When you look at RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, among others, coming out for Trump in swing districts, what kind of impact can that have?
I think it has a big impact. I mean, look, we're in the addition business with an A, and we want to add to the coalition. They obviously bring a lot to the table in that regard, and I think it's interesting, especially with RFK. I mean, he comes from the most famous Democratic Party family that's ever been, and he's a pretty vowed to the left, his whole life. But Kamala Harris is too far left for him. So I think that really sends an important signal to people, and they're paying attention to that. And I think it does make a difference in these swing districts where we're really trying to make the impact.
What did you think of Tim Walz and Kamala Harris last night on CNN? What does it say that Kamala had to have Walz with her? And what did you think of Kamala's answers and Walz's answers, even with the softballs being shoved out there by Dana Bash at CNN?
Yeah, it was nothing new. We exactly what we expected. I mean, it's telling that it took Kamala Harris 39 days to do an interview, and when she did it, she wasn't one-on-one. But she said what we already know. Her values haven't changed. Exactly. That's what we're trying to make everybody understand. She's still the same old radical San Francisco woke progressive that she's always been. I mean, she's a big government socialist, so it was good to hear her admit that. She said she wants to turn the page on this era of politics. America's ready for a new way forward. Yep, we agree with that too. I mean,
Yeah.
We had 3.5 years of this with her and Biden leading the country down these terrible paths, and it's time for us to turn it around. So, I hope and pray that the American people will vote on fact and not fantasy. They'll look at record and not rhetoric. And if they do that, it's no contest. I mean, we're going to have a great night for the Republican Party.
Her economic policies in particular, obviously tax policy is going to have to be addressed in some way because the Trump tax cuts are scheduled to end at the end of 2025. Kamala's talking about raising capital gains tax to 45%, raising the overall income tax brackets, I think, all the way up to basically 45% for the highest earners. But also then unrealized capital gains taxes. We know already that there has been a tax on the American worker from failed Democrat policies. But if she gets the opportunity to remake the tax code, how much of an economic headwind do you think that creates? And how scary should it be for middle-of-the-road voters out there that are just voting based on their pocketbook?
Well, she's presenting a recipe to destroy the U.S. economy. I mean, her record on the economy is just as frightening as her record on the border security issue. I mean, she's been on the wrong side of everything, and she doesn't have any ideas of her own. You know, her first big idea was that she would address price gauging. She said she meant gouging, but that's not even a thing. I mean, it's big communist era socialist policies that she's going to propose, and raising taxes right now in this economy, as fragile as it is, would be disastrous. I mean, we're going to do exactly the opposite. I think that's a big factor in this election. The border and the economy are key factors for many voters, and they should be, because we've got to turn the economy around. And President Trump and a Republican-led Congress will do exactly the opposite of what these guys have done, and that is turn the free market back on, take a blowtorch to the regulatory state, and reduce taxes on job creators and entrepreneurs and risk takers so they can create more jobs, as we were doing in the Trump administration. And, of course, for individual taxes, we've got to make sure those are made permanent, or else when the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act features expire, we're going to have the largest tax increase in U.S. history. So there's a lot of really important work for us to do, and we cannot turn the keys over to Kamala as commander-in-chief. It's frightening.
We're talking to Speaker of House Mike Johnson. The other thing that she did last night is something that she's been trying to do for some time, and I want you to address it in particular. She's saying Republicans are to blame for the disaster at the border. Now, this is an unprecedented blame-shifting move, the likes of which, frankly, there aren't even that many political annals of. But what can you tell us about what she continues to say, what she told Dana Bash last night about the border situation and what the Republican House and hopefully a Republican Senate would do if Donald Trump comes to office versus what she's trying to say she would do?
It's absolute madness. She's lying, looking right into the camera, lying to the American people. Everybody knows it. She's the border czar. She can't run away from that, Clay. I mean, this is her responsibility. And as she has boasted about, she's the last person in the room every time that Biden made these decisions, and he really wasn't making decisions on his own. And so she bears even greater responsibility. The border is an absolute catastrophe. I believe the actual number, Clay, is about 16 million illegals have come across because they opened the doors wide, and they did it in spite of the untold damage that it's done to the country. I mean, fentanyl is the leading cause of death for Americans aged 18 to 45. We have tens of thousands of Chinese nationalists, MS-13 gang members. Now we got Venezuelan gangs running cities like Aurora, ransacking apartment complexes, violent crimes everywhere. We've got terrorists on the known watch list. It goes on and on. And she did that. And they did it, Clay, so they could turn them into voters. And now we have all the evidence to show that, and a voting record on top of it. 198 House Democrats voted 8 weeks ago against the SAVE Act, which simply says only U.S. citizens can vote in U.S. elections. So, look, they did all this. She's responsible for it. We'll do exactly the opposite. Of course, President Trump was talking about border security before anybody even paid attention to it. And he will issue an executive order on day one of his administration to close that border tight. And we'll follow right behind it with H.R. 2 or something even stronger, which is the strongest border security act that's ever been passed. We did that 18 months ago, sitting on Chuck Schumer's desk, collecting dust in the Senate. You put the right people in charge, we will fix this crisis for the country, and it cannot happen soon enough.
We're talking to Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. July 13th, Trump came within a quarter of an inch of being assassinated on live television. I know there are investigations underway associated with the House. What can you tell us about that? When should we expect some form of a resolution so we know fully what happened there, what the failures were, and how to hopefully ensure that it doesn't happen again in anybody's life that's listening right now, that the President of the United States is shot?
Yes. Well, I put together a task force to do that. I just was concerned that if we sent it to a normal committee process to investigate, it would drag it out too long and turn it into a political exercise. This is not political. This is very serious business. And so we've got subpoena authority with the task force. They've been working diligently around the clock since we set that up a few weeks back. And they're on it. They're requesting the documents. They're getting the testimony. Now, some of these agencies have dragged their feet a little bit, as you might expect, but they're very aggressively pursuing those answers, and we'll be delivering it to the people. They're on a short time frame. Final report due about October, but they're coming out with the facts as we find it. And I think from what I've seen so far, it was just a stunning level of incompetence that made that event happen. And we've got to make sure there's accountability for it, and we got to make sure it never happens again. And, you know, they had a massive communication gap between the Secret Service and the local law enforcement and all of that. really was the responsibility of the Secret Service at the end of the day. And you've got to make sure that they get back to their primary function, which is protecting our officials and not working on issues like diversity. I mean, it's madness. It's got to stop, and we'll do that soon.
Last question. I think the biggest story of the week was Mark Zuckerberg's letter to Jim Jordan, who has been investigating all of this big tech censorship and everything associated with it. From your perspective, why did Zuckerberg decide to put that letter out now? And are you surprised that the New York Times and the Washington Post and all these outlets that supposedly care so much about truth have basically pretended none of that happened?
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all. They were involved in all this. Look, Zuckerberg is no hero, right? He was complicit in all of this. He does the admission process now because he's trying to cover his own bases and their profit margins. I mean, this is a business proposition for him, which is why he participated in the first place. But we now know the facts that we have known all along. I mean, we've known this for more than 3 years, that they were manipulating and censoring and silencing conservative viewpoints online. The social media platforms were meeting regularly out in Silicon Valley with Biden officials via the FBI even, and they were telling them who to censor, who to silence, and what viewpoints to keep off the air. And it had the desired effect. I mean, Hunter Biden's laptop was one of the things that they snuffed out. And in the post-election analysis and polling, we know there's a large percentage of Democrats who say they would never have even have voted for Joe Biden if they knew about the laptop and the related scandals. So we can never rewind the clock. We can't go back in time and undo all that. We have got to make absolutely sure this nonsense does not continue in the future. If Elon had never bought Twitter, the beginning of the revelation of all this would never have begun. And so we need patriots who care about free speech to help us defend it. And I hope we'll have that in the days ahead.
Amen. Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, we appreciate the time. Have a great Labor Day weekend, and good luck on the fight this fall.
You got it, my friend. God bless. We'll talk to you soon.
Sure. That's Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. And maybe some of you, as you head into the holiday weekend, dragging a little bit. Earlier this week, I put out a video of myself repping out 185 pounds 10 times. Now, some of you are haters. Some of you out there didn't believe that I could do this. And look, I've got the ultimate dad bod. I'm going to be on the beach this weekend. If you see me in my bathing suit, none of you are going to say, my goodness, Clay Travis looks like Adonis. I've never seen a better looking man in a bathing suit. Trust me, none of you are going to say that. But I do have pretty good energy. And I try to work out and I try to stay at least somewhat in shape because I got 3 kids to be chasing around, because I got like 18 different jobs, and because I want to be able to be the best version of myself. I want to be able to keep up with my kids. I want to be able to keep up with all of the obligations that I have across my life. And it's not always easy to do that. And some of you out there, particularly as you age, and I understand because I'm 45 now, and it's not as easy to get out of bed, jump, do cartwheels at 45 as it was at 25. And I guarantee it's not going to be easy at 65 or some of you at 85. But testosterone is the engine that fuels the male body. And you can get a 20% increase in your testosterone so that you are not a beta male out there voting for Tim Walz and Kamala Harris, so that you, as you head into the Labor Day weekend, can have the energy to keep up with your kids, your grandkids, and try to be able to be the most productive version of yourself. And that is what Chalk is all about. The website, CHOQ, all natural herbal supplements, clinically proven to help game-changing impacts on your overall testosterone. In fact, if you use it for 3 months, you can naturally increase your testosterone by 20%. Now, you get the best possible deal out there right now if you use my name, Clay. That's CLAY, best subscription value for life. But you can also call and ask questions. You can call right now, 50-CHALK-3000, and they will answer your questions to see what the best options are for chalk for you. By the way, for both men and women. If you want to have the energy to roll into the Labor Day weekend on Friday with all the vim, vigor, vitality that you used to have, why not use some natural supplements to help make that happen? Use Chalk. Check out Chalk today, CHOQ.com. 50-CHALK-3000 is the website. My name, Clay, for the best value out there on subscriptions for life.